You want to be Cliff today?
Is he late again?
Yes. I'm starting right now.
We'll grab a jacket then.
You don't need a jacket, do you?
He colored shirts when I'm doing anything.
Oh, he always wears a hat, though.
Yes? Hold on. Run it again? Can I wear this?
You guys can hear me. Perfect.
Yes.
And then this.
I am Cliff. Is this backwards?
Yes, it's backwards.
Is that good?
Nope. There you go.
Okay.
All right.
I don't think I'm ready for this.
There's our camera. There's our chat room. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the OneRing.net Torn Tuesday. I'm Justin.
And I'm Cliff.
And this is your weekly dose of all things Hobbit. How's it going, Cliff?
It's going great.
What
Yes.
what'd you think of the recent news about the extended edition Hobbit?
I've actually not heard this news.
That's
I would
right.
love to hear about it.
Well, the Hobbit's coming back to theaters in 3 weeks.
Wow.
In 2 weeks, it'll be back in theaters. Actually,
That's great. That's actually awesome to hear. I definitely enjoyed the last one. So.
that's right. And you can catch Cliff every week. Actually, this is not Cliff. What's your name? Where you're
Hello,
from?
I'm Gil the Mutant Season.
The Mutant Season.
Yes.
You have your own podcast on the Nerdist Network.
Yes. It has been delayed for a bit, knowing that it's been hard to find a guest. I know we have not invited you on yet, actually.
I know. What's up with that? You do your podcast on the other side of that wall. We do ours here, and we never sync.
Well, I think it's just to do with school. I think
Well, yeah, that's
we
fine.
do have to get you on, though. We definitely do.
I'm a dropout. I'm not in school. Actually, I finished school. I'm done
Finish
with school.
school, kids.
Yeah. Some people are never finished with school.
Yep. Actually, I'm wearing my school uniform right now. Just there's a logo right here. So.
So what does the Mutant Season talk about? If you can't if you have a hard time finding guests, what is that podcast all about?
Actually, most of the time when we don't have a guest, usually it'll be delayed. We just don't print one out. We've done a couple times where we've had a Q&A,
Mhm.
or that's actually only happened once, and I think we're bringing it back soon. We've done ones where I talked about maybe a trip that I went on lately.
What name of some of the guests that you've had on your show?
Man, there's been so many. I believe it's 177. No, actually, no, a bit much, like 160, somewhere around there.
Episodes?
Yes.
160 episodes.
Yes, and my anniversary's in October.
Holy smokes.
4-year anniversary.
You've been doing a podcast on the Nerdist Network for 4 years.
Yes, and it's very cool to be one of the first too.
Now, people think once you're in the Nerdist family, like they do all the work for you, but no, you do all the work. You book your own guests.
Actually, it's most of the time my producer does definitely book them a lot. But I mean, I definitely research the guests. That's definitely true. So.
That's
But yeah,
good.
yeah.
So, check out the Mutant Season on Nerdist.com.
Yeah.
Or iTunes, right?
iTunes too. Yeah, that works too.
You can subscribe to the Mutant Season.
And it's free.
Have you ever read any of the Tolkien books?
No, I don't think I have actually, which is kind of disappointing. I know, guys. I'm sorry, but but I haven't.
Have you even seen the movies?
I have seen the movies. Of
Which
course.
ones? All 6 of them?
Oh no, I don't know.
Which
No.
ones have you seen then?
I think I saw the first one when I was like 5,
So like 2 years ago.
maybe.
Do you guys have any questions in the chat room?
Yeah.
They think you're Canadian. You're not Canadian.
I wish I was.
What's your background?
Half Japanese and half Chilean.
Chilean and Japanese?
Yes.
That's no joke. Can you speak any more languages other than English?
No.
Really?
Nope.
You speak geek though.
Geek. Yeah. I speak a good amount of geek. I do. And like a tiny bit about maybe a bit of nerd. Yeah.
A little bit of nerd?
Yeah, not too much.
For shame. They want me to turn up the volume. Let's see if we can turn up the volume. Pump up the volume.
Pump it up.
Is that better, guys? It's a mini Nathan. See, people are already like judging you on how you look. That's so LA of everybody.
LA. That's a first, actually.
So has Nerdist ever has the Hardwick himself actually ever been on your show?
Twice, yes. It's great. Like, he definitely encourages me, which is awesome.
You're the youngest person on the Nerdist Network.
Yeah, I think.
And
maybe?
And it's called The Mutant Season. What's Mutant Season come from? Where's the name come from?
It's a story that goes a long time ago. Not as long as Star Wars.
You don't have a long time in your life.
It actually came from a live. I just remember I was like a guest on a live show one day.
Mm-hmm.
It was actually right below us, that show.
Yeah.
And I was just talking about movies I saw over the summer. And if you guys don't remember the summer of 2012, 2011, there was a lot of superhero and a lot of mutant movies. It was the year that the X-Men, the First Class came out.
Oh, okay.
So there was a lot of those movies, and I was like, hey, why not call them Mutant Summer? I mean, these guys are all weirdos and a bunch of freaks. They're cool, but
And you started
different.
having them on your show.
Not necessarily. I think it's just when I started the podcast, I remembered that name, and since, of course, movies would be a topic that I would talk about a lot on the podcast, I would be like, hey, why not? I can't call it Mutant Summer, of course. That would kind of be dumb. That was the name of the title.
Yeah.
It's not going to just be summer, so I call it Mutant Season.
The Mutant Season. People are asking in the chat room. Gil here has a podcast on the Nerdist Network, nerdist.com, or on iTunes. It's called The Mutant Season.
Yes.
You're the youngest podcast host on Nerdist, possibly the youngest popular podcast.
I don't know. I know. I definitely had a peak couple years ago. Like it definitely had a peak like a year ago.
Yeah. It's hard keeping it up, huh?
It definitely is. I mean, going on for that long.
There's no more Hobbit movies, and so we're like, what do we talk about now? Like, do we even keep the show up? How do you keep the show up? It's tough. I don't have any guests to book.
Well, I think the number one thing about trying to keep a podcast up is that you just talk about what you feel is going on. I think current events is definitely something that goes into a podcast.
Bingo.
So even if your podcast is literally about coats, only about coats, like coats, and there was no coat fashion going on, talk about shirts, maybe talk about hats. It's related and it's a current event if it could be. You know? There's
a question in the chat room. How did you get your own podcast on Nerdist?
Well, since here at Meltdown Comics, where you guys are filming right now, where we are right now, my dad does own the store, and he knows, and Chris Hardwick, the Nerdist showroom is downstairs. That's where, again, the live podcast was. This may sound confusing at first, but it will be understood, hopefully soon. But, after that podcast, I think Nerdist I started looking into podcasts. I started looking at Nerdist, and then one day my dad came and was like, "Hey, Gil, you want a podcast?" And then Chris Howard came and was like, he asked me too, and it was a great opportunity. So
look, if Gil here can have a podcast and have a successful podcast
at age of 9 too,
there's no excuse. If you have something to say, choose a topic and just start it.
Yeah. And you really need to put yourself out there. Like that's something that everyone says, but it's so true. No matter what, even if you again love coats, I'm gonna bring that back. If you just
don't be ashamed of it,
then just say, "I love coats. I love milk. I'm literally addicted to milk."
There's a guy that loves watches. And he's like one of the most popular podcasters and websites, and all he talks about are everything about the watch, the little gears inside.
And that's great. Like something that you love will get other people to love it too. You can bring into they'll say, that sounds kind of vague and kind of dumb. If you tell them what it's about, it's just the natural thought of the brain that you're more interested into it.
Totally.
Even if you think it's boring, if you learn about it, you're gonna automatically know that you're gonna find a way to make it interesting.
One of my favorite shows that you've done over 160 episodes on the Nerdist Network, but one of my favorites is you had Biff Tannen.
I did, yes. That was a great episode. He was on my live show too, which is even awesomer.
What do you talk about with Biff Tannen? I mean, that movie came out before your parents could have kids. Like, that was Back to the Future was so long ago. Well, who was that? What's his name? The guy that played Biff Tannen in Back to the Future. His name is Matt. I forget.
I'm sorry. It's been a while too.
You just
have so many guests. I'm so sorry if you're watching this too, and you were a great guest. It's hard to forget someone's name like that.
But so you've actually so you like you did your homework by watching the movie and then asking questions about.
My parents always told me to always watch that movie, and then one day I was watching Nickelodeon when I was like maybe 7, and I remember this very, very clear when my parents saw what I was watching, and like I opened the guide and it says Back to the Future coming on next show, and like, watch that right now. And it was a great movie. I watched all 3 of them, maybe a couple more times. Too.
Which one was your favorite of the 3?
It was Thomas F. Wilson.
Tom Wilson.
Tom Wilson. That's right. Yes.
It was Matt backwards.
Yeah.
Tom.
I remember. He got into a controversy with my friends on that live show. It was funny. It was great. It was definitely great.
Did you like the futuristic one, or the Old West one, or the 1950s one?
You know, I like the Old West one because I know a couple actors almost died on it.
That one's my favorite because it's just fun.
It's definitely fun. First one though was a classic. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And I'm saying classic because it was like it's definitely well known. So, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those two. The one that the place takes place in the future, I found kind of a bit too generic, knowing that
cheesy.
Yeah, it's cheesy. Yeah, that's the
word. And you know the future in that movie.
It's gonna have hoverboards.
But yeah. It's the year 2015.
Is it really?
When the movie came out in 1985,
yeah.
They traveled backwards 20 years and they traveled forwards 20 years.
Oh,
no, 30 years. They travel forwards 30 years. So in the movie, he actually goes to October something or November 5th, 2015. So this is the year that is supposed to be in Back to the Future.
I wonder how. That should have been a question I asked Thomas Wilson. How do you feel that like the movie takes that one movie where it takes place in the future in 2015 like?
And now we're here.
That was 2 years ago too. So it's not 2015 today, but I have to say though there was a lot of great guests like Thomas Wilson. I've had the flight director of Curiosity, Mars rover.
From NASA.
JPL. I went there. It was so cool, and I talk about all the time because it was. It was great. This was at the age of 9.
I can't even get that guy on the show.
It's like I remember it too, and I'm 13 now, and I still remember that so well. I know. I feel like I'm.
JPL.
I feel like I'm 8 because of my voice and how tall I am, but don't worry.
So you actually have JPL rocket scientists on your show. You've had actors on your show.
Oh,
You've had chefs on your show, right?
Oh yes. Yeah, I have. Yeah, I've had a couple. Yes. And I've also had the actor of Chef. If you remember his name.
Jon Favreau?
Jon Favreau.
Shut up. You had Jon Favreau on your show?
Sorry,
we can't even.
Sorry, I was guested with him on another show, but that was cool. I still got to meet him and all.
Wait, didn't you do a panel discussion with Jon Favreau?
Yeah, that was a guest. I was a guest on another show called It was great, honestly.
I don't know how you do, and people think that you're in the Nerdist Network, so of course you're getting all these guests. No, the Nerdist isn't giving you these guests.
To be honest, I have to get a lot of credit to my mom and producer and my dad. They get me all sorts of guests. My dad has a lot of connections. My producer gets me all these amazing people. It's awesome. And what's cool too is that like. My dad's best friend is Don Murphy, producer of Transformers, Real Steel, bunch of other movies. Mm-hmm. And my godfather is Guillermo del Toro.
Guillermo del Toro is your godfather.
Yes.
Was there like a godfather ceremony and everything? Like So
yeah, it's
so
great.
if you ever have nightmares, like, do you call up your godfather and you say, "Hey, what does this mean?"
Oh, I wish he had the time for that. He is really busy, as you can probably all tell.
Yeah, because Guillermo just did all these haunted houses at Universal Studios.
Oh, yeah, that's...
What do you know?
I don't know anything. I just knew about that.
This
But like,
kid-
I've had Don Murphy on, and Don Murphy on, and he was a great guest. He was awesome, and I've had a lot of people on, and even people who like you may not know, they're still so interesting. Normal, average people can be so interesting without you realizing it.
Right?
I've had someone from an organization who saved animals, and you know, they're not usually very like celebrity famous, but they were so interesting to talk to, so great to talk to. So.
But I run out of things to talk about with my guests. That's why I have Cliff around, because he can talk better than me. Like, don't you run out of things to say? Like, how do you keep on an hour long or an hour and a half long conversation with all these like rocket scientists and crazy smart people? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, first, I am a huge nerd. So rocket science is like, I can talk for probably 4 hours about that. But I mean, stuff that are really serious and, you know, you might not be able to talk to for like an hour. You still want to be able to, you want to be comfortable with the guests. Comfortable enough to talk normally, like conversation. Like, I know there are so many great interviews and hosts, but you know, there's always those couple hosts who are just kind of, just ask those questions and they just don't really get anything out of them. Don't really get comfortable with them to where they want to talk.
yeah.
So I definitely like, and that's what's great about the Nerds. They all listen. They all listen to the guests, and and it's even awesomer. I can never do this. Just talk to myself an entire podcast.
Cliff can.
I don't know how you guys do it. I have guests on because I have a topic to talk. I mean, not just that. It's so great to interview people. I get to learn so much more. But I mean, I don't know if I'd ever be able to do a podcast by myself.
So if your godfather is Guillermo del Toro, let me ask you this: he was originally going to direct The Hobbit.
Was he really?
Yeah. What do you think his Hobbit been too scary? Because it's a children's book. Like, do you think Guillermo del Toro's The Hobbit would have been too scary for the book, or do you think it would just been just right?
You know, I think only actually doing it would have been able to tell. I think it's kind of hard to see what you would have done. Well, let's see what you would have done.
Yeah. People in the chat room are saying they can hear Cliff laugh in the background like Jabba the Hutt.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Someone also said that, Justin, this was originally Cliff's show. You know what? That gives up a good point. This was originally my show with Cliff hosting. It was our show. I was originally the producer, totally behind the scenes. Cliff was the only one on camera. Can you tell me what a producer does? Or tell them what a producer does. They all they see is the person on camera. All they hear is the little kid in the podcast room, but they don't realize that half the work is the producer.
I would say more than half the work is the producer.
Really? Explain.
I mean, this equipment right here, you guys can see the microphone. That's all you can see. Behind here is a bunch of wires, cameras. There's like a bunch of computers over there, which is crazy. I hope that's not too revealing for you guys.
Oh no, we've showed them. We showed them before.
But like all that stuff, for me is the producer. Like my producer Katie is so great. She has all the wiring done always. She always has these like 3 recorders just in case. And there's microphones everywhere. It's honestly great. So it just sounds like me, but she does all the booking. She prepares everything for us. She like just everything, honestly. Literally.
So you just show up and talk. She
Well, I mean, I have to do research. I can't just she doesn't prepare anything for me, and that would not be cool, you know.
Okay.
But like she definitely prepares a lot for us. So.
Well, I'm impressed, and everybody in the chat room is impressed. This kid has a producer, and his godfather's Del Toro. Feels unaccomplished.
I don't feel unaccomplished. That's for sure.
No, she does. Yeah. They do.
Oh, okay. Oh, all right. Yeah, I definitely have a lot of stuff to do. I'm only 13, but I mean,
But it doesn't get in the way. Katie is also the producer of Hardwick's actual show, right?
Okay. What's even crazier is that she has 30 other podcasts to run, just as similar as mine.
Every week.
Every week.
So one producer is producing 30 podcasts, and she might be doing yours, and then in 2 hours she'll do Hardwick and Jonah Ray and Matt Myra.
Like, I only have 1 episode per week, and maybe even 1 episode per 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then the Nerdist has 3 episodes per week they record.
Yeah, and
there's a bunch of other that they record.
And then there's guys like Pete Holmes,
who runs for 3 hours, which is not a problem. But I mean, that's definitely a long time for her. So
which other than your show, what's your favorite podcast on the Nerdist Network?
Do I have to choose a favorite? Because I like all of them. They're all great.
Okay. You don't have to choose.
They're great.
So some people enjoy just the podcast. Do you enjoy not having cameras around and just talking and listening, or do you think that eventually you want to put it on YouTube or something like that? Like Howard Stern, he has his show on video. You can watch his radio show every morning on YouTubes and stuff like that. Do you like the fact that there's no cameras in the Nerdist room?
There's not really a preference for me. I would say that I think cameras are more preferable for the audience, because sometimes you want to see the person behind the microphone.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, then again, there's always Google. So
yeah,
there's literally always Google.
Well,
and you can pretty much Google anybody on Google. I'm not even kidding.
Have you ever booked a guest only online, like through Twitter or something? Like, hey, dude, I like you. Come on to
actually, yeah. Recently, we had a guy from Lyft who invented the pink mustache. If you guys know the
Lyft, like the driving company,
yes,
Lyft.
The driving company.
You had the guy that invented the pink mustache from Lyft on your show.
But
why can't we get any guests here?
He was a Skype interview though, which was.
That would be so cool.
It was a Skype interview. It was a bit short, unfortunately, but I mean.
We've done Skype interviews.
Yeah, and they're fun. It was the first time I ever did something over. I have though. That was the first time I did it online. I have gone to places and recorded it there.
Mm-hmm.
So I've actually been in the Jim Henson Studios for the Muppets.
Go ahead, tell the story.
I had a puppeteer on. He was great. It was awesome.
From actual The Muppet Show, or
no.
Labyrinth?
He was just a really good puppeteer.
He's just a really good puppeteer that happens to work at the Jim Henson Studio, and he said, "Come on down."
I also got to go in like those meeting rooms in the Endeavor place. Not inside the shuttle, like in the Science Center.
I was gonna say,
yeah, no.
If you went in the Space Shuttle
that would
Endeavor,
be so cool.
I would flip. I actually did something at the Endeavor. I don't know if Cliff was there. I don't think Cliff was there, but they had a big fundraiser for old astronauts.
Yeah.
To help pay medical bills.
Mm-hmm.
So they had all these old astronauts and Air Force people, and they had dinner under the space shuttle.
Ooh, that's cool.
So all these tables set up, and then they had big projectors on the wall, and so all the astronauts got up and spoke, and they handed out an award to a guy that was 103 years old that was part of the team that broke the sound barrier. And
that's great.
The dude could barely stand. I mean, he was just but but everybody stood when this guy talked. I mean, he was just you could tell respect. And there were a bunch of people like Nicolas Cage and people like celebrities that are just huge airplane buffs. They're just like, oh my gosh, what can I do? So I've done something cooler than you with the space shuttle.
That's great.
So I have to have one thing. Just
you have
one thing.
This is a really good show. So that's another competition. Right?
This show is Cliff's show, and it's great because of Cliff. And Cliff is playing producer today. That's what everybody thinks.
Ooh.
I
should probably not take Cliff's spot.
Well, what people don't realize is that I'm playing producer and I'm on camera, because when we don't have a host, I'm in front of the camera. So I'm actually, during the whole show, I'm watching the computer over there, and when things break, they see me freak out on camera. You know, have you ever messed up, or has anything technical ever happened on a show where you like did this amazing interview and then you realize we forgot to hit record?
Well, the record. No, that's never happened. We have had times where before the podcast started, like when I do the intro, we realize that like the microphone's off or it's not working, so we had to replace it. Or like we have headphones on so that we can hear ourselves and hear how the audio's going through. So sometimes those will break.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, other than that, not really. And this sounds whole high tech. You guys should like check out the studio because it has a lot of wiring, but it's very small and it's.
I
cool,
got
though.
more wiring.
You guys do.
Right?
You guys have like a shelf.
And monitors. We got monitors
Yeah.
on. We got stacks on stacks.
Yeah.
You just have 4 microphones, and
Yeah.
a laptop.
And a laptop, yes.
And a little Zoom mic. Like literally everything in that room that wasn't donated by a sponsor, I think costs like $500.
No, those recording things are really expensive.
The Zoom things?
Those are expensive.
Are they? I thought they
Yes.
were only a couple $100. Maybe.
I don't.
But the
they're
fact is, you can
expensive.
order it on Amazon.
Yeah. Yes.
Like anybody could start a podcast.
They can, and that's what. I mean, I understand. Like, I get the feeling where it's just like you see other people who are doing better than you, and just feel, I can't do that. It's just a natural feeling for us. Someone who does it better than us, you're gonna think, I can't do it. And even if it's something so small, like someone did the homework overnight, and you're doing it last minute, you're just like, I can't do it, but he did it better than me.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, and you can do that homework last minute.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Put your mind to it, and you could just get it done.
Yeah.
So look, he has his own podcast. He's got everything going on. You have no excuse, you viewers and you listeners right now.
Yeah.
If you want to do something and you think you can do something better, then do it.
Even if you're my age, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you're 5, you can probably. I honestly doubt how many 5-year-olds there are watching this, but. I mean,
you never know.
You never know.
We have a lot of families here at the One Ring, so I think we're gonna head over to Kamikaze at the end of the month. Are you gonna go to Kamikaze?
Maybe it depends. I don't know.
Well, this week there's a big Beyond Fest film festival.
Yes, that is true. That is actually my dad is a big part of that. He definitely helps that out.
So it's like a 2-week film fest.
Yes.
Of crazy movies, like they're showing
Awesome, yeah.
Eraserhead.
I was gonna be like I was actually gonna be at the premiere and be the kid from Trick or Treat. Unfortunately, that didn't happen. Though. That would have been awesome though.
That would have been cool.
Sitting there, that would have been great.
It starts tomorrow. Beyond Fest starts
Yes, it
tomorrow,
does.
and they're showing. What are they showing?
I'm not exactly sure.
I think are they opening with Tom Hardy's movie? I think they're opening with Legend, the Tom
Legend,
Hardy movie
ooh.
where Tom Hardy plays twins. So it's 2 Tom Hardys. I don't know. It's gonna be crazy.
Me of Halloween. Halloween's coming up. I'm most likely gonna be a Windows key.
Explain that.
Oh, I want it to be like those Microsoft logo. You know the Microsoft logo?
Yeah.
I really wanted to be that for some reason.
Really?
Because it's so. I just feel like it would be so.
The old one that goes like this, or the new one that's just 4 squares?
No, the old one, because it looks like an actual Microsoft. Well, no offense, Microsoft.
That'd be cool.
That would be so cool, right?
Yeah, it would.
That would be so cool. But I don't know how I would get it. I would have to get like 2, like those, those like those like the costumes where it's just like a full green suit and there's different colors like yellow. I have to get those and then just shape it into a square, or just stretch it across a box.
Well, there's a bunch of cosplayers that are always hanging out here at Meltdown, so I'm sure someone will point you in the right direction.
Yes.
Well, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much.
So
sorry, Cliff, for taking up so much time.
No, it's wonderful to have you always.
Yeah, thank you.
Subscribe to this guy on YouTube. No, on iTunes. And thenerdist.com.
Yes, and make sure to check out all the other podcasts too.
The Mutant Season. You drew the logo, right?
I did. That was. I can never ever draw it again. I think that was a one-time thing because I can't draw it anymore.
Well, that's the secret about graphic design. They can only do it once.
Yep, that is true.
So it's fine. Yeah. So the mutant season, he created it. He books the talent. He does the research. He drew the logo. He goes everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't even book Cliff to get here on time for his own show. So you're way ahead of me. So
and if you can, please check out my Twitter. That would be awesome.
You got a Twitter?
I just hit 1,000 followers.
That's more than me. I'm like at 900 or something. Shut.
I am at Mutant Season, and the other one is Guild the Mutant Season.
The Mutant Season or Mutant Season?
Mutant Season, and under it, if you're not sure, I'll just say Guild the Mutant Season.
So the name, the actual act is at Mutant Season.
Yes, and then under it'll say like
mutant,
GL or
like mutant Ninja Turtles.
Yes.
Like mutant.
Because I am a mutant. Thank you.
You're amazing, Gil.
Thank you.
See ya.
Bye.
Excellent, Gil.
And this
Well
is where
done,
we Oh, hello, Cliff.
Is that
Welcome.
the Tron music?
You know, I was hanging out with my little cousins this weekend, and I made a Wayne's World joke, and my 8-year-old cousins looked at me like, "You're so old."
Really?
Wayne's World. I'm like, I just.
Listen.
And then they told me I was wearing cargo shorts
Yes.
because they got the extra pockets, and I got my phone and everything. They're like, cargo shorts. Those are like dad shorts.
Wow, how about that? And then imagine what it's like. Hello, everybody, and thank you again to Gil. It's hard to have a conversation with some of these young folks these days when you mention someone like James Dean, and they're like, "Who's that? Who's James Dean?" Or you mention Marilyn Monroe, and they look at you and go, "Who's that?" They don't know. They've never seen Gentlemen Prefer Blondes. They've never seen The 7-Year Itch. These kids have never seen Giant. They don't know who James Dean is, and they certainly think that cargo pants are dad pants.
So it just,
anyways,
it just put into focus that
you're getting old.
I need to change my wardrobe. I will not accept that. Are we wearing shades?
You'll have to forgive me.
I didn't know it was
for being late today.
Shade week.
It is shade week. I forgot where I put my eyeglasses. I've lost my prescription eyeglasses at home, and I was scrambling everywhere through the whole house.
That's right. You don't need to see me.
Looking for my eyeglasses. So, I don't have them. We are 2 blind mice out of 3. Gil, well, he could come back and be our 3rd blind mouse if he wants to.
3 blind mice.
Such a great guy. Such a great.
Isn't he super talented? I can't believe he does everything he does.
Sharp as a tack.
And it's just,
a very sharp tack. And you know, yes. Hi there.
Hello.
How are you? It's good to see you.
I'm very good.
What comes to mind when you think the Middle-earth films really are over? Blah 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 blah, and you don't even stop and think that Warner Brothers is biding their time before they come out with an announcement that there's something else in the works.
You thought I was crazy for the longest time. You thought there's no way we're gonna get more Tolkien. You thought the special extended editions are like totally out of the question. I love that you're coming around.
I have come around. I've been talking about this for almost a year now. I've been coming around. Listen. There's going to be more stuff going on, and we're not going to have...
You better believe it.
We're not going to have any shortage of stuff to talk about. One of the things that came to me when I was in early stages of being a Tolkien fan...
Let's put on Skype.
And put on Skype? Yeah, I'll turn on Skype. But one of the more interesting things that comes across any hardcore Tolkien fan, way before the first Peter Jackson Lord of the Rings came out, was this absolutely wonderful book. Never seen a copy of this?
The Atlas of Middle-earth.
Never seen this up close?
No.
This is the one and only bona fide Atlas of Middle-earth, created by the late Karen Wynne Fonstad. She's very famous because she did the Atlas of the Dragon Riders of Pern. She did the Atlas of the Land.
Yeah.
You know, the fantasy series for Dragonlance. She did the Atlas for Middle-earth. I believe she's also done the Atlas for the Forgotten Realms, which is the big book series that TSR put out, all tied into their Dungeons & Dragons world.
Okay.
And this amazing volume by Karen Wynne Fonstad has more details and more information than you can shake a stick at. I'm telling you, I was one of the last people to interview Ms. Fonstad before she died. And I have to tell you, it was remarkable to talk with her. You can see on our old archives of our old Green Books section on theonering.net my original discussion here with Karen. This book...
We should repost that this week.
I'd be glad to. We should repost it today. This stuff is the best. They're 2-colored maps by a real cartographer who actually used to be, you know, she had a master's degree in geography from the University of Oklahoma, and she taught geography at the University of Wisconsin, and she just happened to be a hardcore fangirl. This is back in the late 70s, early 80s, when being a fangirl was no-no. It was a no-no because
you know, I don't believe that.
Hey, look. The fangirl phenomenon now is completely different than it was 30 years ago.
All the footage I see from fangirls of the 50s and 60s, the Tolkien fangirls of the 60s, like they fangirls carried the Tolkien torch until the movies became like these action adventure things. But
that may or may not be true, because in the late 70s, when I was just a tiny little boy, it was all a boys' club. Everything that had to do with Lord of the Rings and Middle-earth was a boys' club. But then again, that might be because, you know, and some of the girls in my class were asking me, why are you reading that stuff? It's as if they didn't have an interest. You know what the girls in my class wanted to read?
What?
Judy Blume. Tales of a Fourth Grade Nothing.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with Judy Blume.
Are You There, God? It's Me, Margaret. You know, books by Judy Blume. Not the adult version of Judy Blume, but the young adult.
I guess those books are important.
Hey, that started the YA publishing franchise. I mean, the whole world of YA books, young adult, before Harry Potter and J.K. Rowling and Twilight books and you know, Maze Runner, blah, 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 and the Golden Compass.
Getting a call.
It was all about Judy Blume. Hey, who's there on the phone with us?
Emily.
It's Emily. Hello, I can't see you, dear, because I'm a blind mouse today. Lovely to hear your voice, though.
Well, I work on a Wednesday, so I can't usually come in. So,
well, it's great to see you again after so many weeks.
It's been a while.
Well, I'm about probably 3-4 months. Yeah, unfortunately I work on a Wednesday, so I don't usually come in, but I'm about to go abroad on holiday, so I thought, I might as well just come and say hi, because I haven't seen any of you in ages.
That's so nice to see you. That's so good to have you pop in and say hello. And I have to admit, your British vernacular of saying holiday instead of vacation tickles me to no end. I don't know why. I always find that very entertaining, very amusing.
I'm going to Rhodes.
Rhodes? How awesome.
You should come to the States so you can watch the extended edition Battle of the Five Armies on the big screen.
With us.
I was watching last week's about thinking about the blade or line and things. On my DVD, I hear the word line and it says the word line.
What?
We're going back to the conversation about the King of the Dead.
Well, this is correct.
Speaking with Aragorn.
All English, British, American, and Australian copies, all English language speaking versions of The Lord of the Rings: Return of the King say and see line, except Canada.
A line, as in a lineage, you can break, and in a way, sort of our royal family.
But you don't reforge a line.
It's sort of broken because it's sort of when Henry VII came to the throne, it's sort of his claim to lineage wasn't entirely good.
Huh, like a Game of Thrones character, like a Baratheon who thinks that he's got more of a claim than someone from the other.
He had to marry someone else who was supposed to be closer to the lineage.
Well, anyways, you know, it is an ongoing mystery about how that mistake cropped up. But tell me, in your amazing lifetime of being a fangirl, which is quite certainly an amazing lifetime, you have had a copy of this, haven't you? The Atlas of Middle-earth?
No, it's on my to-buy list, unfortunately.
Really?
I've wanted it for so long.
there are a lot of good sources online. Back in the early 80s, we didn't have these, like the LOTR project, where our wonderful friend has this amazing high-res interactive map of Middle-earth. But back in the early 80s, when we were trying to do pen and paper games and make Dungeons and Dragons scenarios that were in Middle-earth, this book was invaluable. It was the only thing that helped me read the Silmarillion and helped me understand it, because I could put real place names to real locations and understand, the travel times. The maps show the paths that are taken by characters as they go on large migrations and civilizations that change over hundreds and thousands of years. And it's just such a fascinating, wonderful book. I recommend it beyond anything I've ever recommended to any of you.
Back when I first started coming on here, you were all, when you had all, or was it in the flat or whatever, and you had all the books around you,
yes,
and you kept pulling out the annotated Hobbit. I bought a copy of the annotated Hobbit.
Oh, that's great. I've always recommended the annotated Hobbit. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It's wonderful.
Even I own that. So
yeah.
I own that. Everyone should own that.
It's super good. Yeah. Super, super good.
Oh, I met Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd back at Comic-Con in the UK.
Really?
Ooh, how cool.
I just thought it should be an awesome thing to just let everyone know that.
Yeah,
it was
that is amazing. I've met both of them, and they're super nice and humble and very approachable people.
Unfortunately, I was only able to get Christopher's autograph because you had to pay hundreds of pounds to get Michael's.
Yeah.
Oh, geez, of course. Wow, I would love to meet Christopher Lloyd. I've always wanted to meet him. Hmm.
Well, it's great to hear your voice and see you again.
It's very nice indeed.
Well, I hope to come on every so often, but whilst I work on a Wednesday and things,
yes, and you're staying up till the wee hours of the morning.
Yes, well, I have to be up in about another 5 hours.
Oh, just a wee bit of sleep for you. Thank you for staying up so dreadfully late, my dear.
Well, I just thought, I haven't been on for so long, I just gotta come in and say hi to everyone.
Yay.
And see you and just, see how
That's
everyone's
lovely.
doing.
That's
lovely.
awesome. And everybody in the chat room is just like freaking out that you're here, you're talking to us. So
that's very nice.
It's great to hear you, and we hope to catch you as you can.
We're not breaking up the family just because the Hobbit films are over. There's more mischief in store, as I have often said.
Yes, I'm looking forward to Star Wars in December.
Yes, we all are. Looking forward to...
I went to see Jurassic World back in the summer. So, yeah.
Excellent. Well, see, keeping your good geek stripes on. Keep them right here on your shoulder where you need to have them.
I'm looking forward to this new Harry Potter World movie and the Beauty and the Beast live action. I've got to go and see that because that's got some awesome people in it from Lord of the Rings.
Yes.
And the Hobbit.
Oh, yes. Big crossover. We'll have a lot to talk about. Definitely.
Yeah.
My dear, onward and forward. I have to say thanks again. We've got some more things to cover, and you look lovely tonight. But please, now, turn in, tuck in, nice and tight. Say goodnight to the puss, and have a nice big hug for the kitty cat.
I don't know where the pusses are at the moment.
Well, they'll be around.
So it's just me and the dog in the house because my parents are abroad.
All right. Oh,
very
lovely.
good.
That's nice. All right. Well, then you're home alone, waiting for trouble, right?
All right. Well, enjoy your holiday, and thank you. It's great to hear from you and see you again.
You're going to Rhodes, Greece, correct?
Yeah. Yes. Rhodes. Yeah, the Greek island.
That'll be lovely. Rhodes.
To an
How fantastic.
all-inclusive resort with its own water park.
You better send us some photos, love.
Well, everybody in the chat room that are just joining us, they want to know who it is. So jump back in the chat and say, "Hey, that's me."
That's right.
I'll quickly say hi. I'll stay a little longer, but yeah, I ain't got much longer.
Okay. Very good.
All right, very good. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Stargate Geek. Emily, lovely to see you.
Yeah.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye for now.
Oh, it's lovely. She's so lovely.
We have a great family of community of fans who,
yes,
through thick and thin, they're with us as Tolkien fans all the way. And that was a quality that was certainly on display 2 weeks ago at our Bilbo Baggins birthday bash.
Oh my gosh, so much fun.
No one should ever
And I wasn't
worry.
even there.
No one should ever worry about Tolkien fandom dissipating or changing. There is no.
It's stronger than ever.
Stronger than ever. There's no dilution
even
to the strength
as,
of Tolkien fandom. No dilution at all.
Even as allegedly bad The Hobbit was, the fandom is as strong as ever.
You can say that. You could say that the fans complained more about the Hobbit movies than they complained about Lord of the Rings.
But they complained
But they went
about
and saw them
everything.
at theaters multiple times.
$3 billion.
$3 billion for all 3 films. And you know what? I know people who complained and said, well, I had to go back and see it in a different format. I had to go back and see it again just to see all the things I didn't see the first time.
And I will see it on the big screen as much as I can.
Yes.
Especially the extended edition.
I'm so looking forward to that. But you, sir, I want you to take a look through this. Just breeze through this briefly.
You know,
and I'm going to start talking about
there's a similar thing called the Hobbit Companion.
The Hobbit Companion. I've seen that book.
It's a free app on iPad. Mm-hmm. I think it's on just iPad.
Just on the iTunes store?
Yeah, on the iTunes store.
Apple doesn't play well with others.
So if you have an iPad, maybe it's on iPhone as well. It's called the Hobbit Companion, and it's an interactive map, and you can scroll around.
I have seen that, yes.
And you can zoom in on the Lonely Mountain, and it tells you like what the local trade people are.
I actually did see that. That was pretty cool.
Yeah. So go ahead.
The world that Professor Tolkien constructed, in terms of any other fantasy story compared to it, is a bit strange, a bit different. Just talking about topography of the land and the geography of the planet itself, which is called Arda. Everybody knows that, we're going to have an adventure in Middle-earth, and we talk about these Middle-earth movies, but there was a whole hell of a lot of mythology and great detailed histories of people, places, and things that were not just within the smaller scope of Middle-earth. We think of Middle-earth as a large-scale place, but in all of Arda, the other places on the planet, you can't imagine the challenges that it took from having barely sketched out brushstrokes that Professor Tolkien just, wisped away in a couple of sentences. And this woman, Fonstad, she had to create a real atlas that made it look and feel like you could translate it to your mind as you were reading it and understand places of mountains, the names of rivers, the placement of tunnels, all kinds of underground realms and kingdoms. I mean, back in the First Age, especially after the publication of the Silmarillion, this book was completely revised, and then there was the History of Middle-earth books that came out with even more details and Unfinished Tales, we have a copy of Unfinished Tales right here. Also fantastic. So she had to do another edition. She had to do a retcon on the Atlas of Middle-earth.
As these things happen.
As these things happen. You can't imagine how difficult it was to take a world that was flat, a 2D space, and then in terms of geography, remember how we thought that, in ancient times it was a flat Earth? And before Columbus sailed,
we never thought
they thought many people in the Dark Ages thought you'd fall off the edge of the earth.
What do you think? Spirited Book. Called in.
Imagine how a cartographer would have to redraw maps because after the War of Wrath, and Melkor was thrown in chains and cast outside, and Valinor was removed from the circles of the world after, the Númenóreans disobeyed the ban of the Valar and tried to go to the actual shores of Valinor. Imagine taking a flat world and turning it around. She had to redraw and recreate a new global structure of maps completely all over again based on this information. It's such a complex thing, and it looks effortless. The Atlas of Middle-earth is a piece of effing genius. I can't recommend it enough. Don't you think?
I do have that book.
You do have it?
I have a different cover version though for it. It's weird. I don't know. It's like, hang on.
We'll need to hear your voice a little bit closer to the mic, my friend.
Yeah, hang on.
Okay, there you are.
For it.
So you actually have the Atlas of Middle-earth.
I have it. Yes. Hang on. I'm looking for it. To the bookshelf.
You know the best part, I think, is when she describes battles or a great, confrontation, a military conflict. She'll draw a close-up area of the land, like Erebor, the Lonely Mountain, and then she'll show arrows that point to where the dwarves came from, where sources of other orcs and their armor, their armored ranks came over the spurs of the mountain, and then she'll draw lines to show where eagles flew in, where Gandalf came in, and Thranduil, and all the details you can imagine, even very complex late-stage battles in The Return of the King. She effortlessly draws the arrows to show you where forces and troop movement went from place to place, and it just elucidates everything. It's fantastic.
It's very cool.
Don't you agree?
I have it right here. I love it. Oh,
Yeah.
Sugar. All right, hang on. I has it here.
You have a different cover. You have a later edition, don't you?
Hang on.
You have that nice edition with the black cover that has, the Alan Lee illustration on the cover of that. Yeah.
Hold that up. Keep holding it up.
Yeah, that's the second edition.
Yeah, that's the version.
That's excellent. Excellent spirited book. So,
What brought you to this book?
yeah.
I was reading. I don't know. I just saw it.
Are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, there you are.
Yeah. I saw this book, and I was like, oh, what's this? And then reading through it, and I'm like, oh, this is interesting. And I'm like, oh, I'll buy it. I have money to spare at the time. And I've been kind of skimming through it at times. I'll try and recreate some of the maps a little here and there.
I mean,
I wish they sold posters of some of these maps.
That is the one thing. Thank you for mentioning that, because appropriately, Justin is thinking about outside levels of merchandising and extra things that we can get out of a source.
I'm always thinking about
I love
merchandise.
that. But I'm telling you what, I could not read the Silmarillion the first time that I read it if I didn't have this copy of Karen Fonstad's Atlas, because when Tolkien is talking about the early waves of the first elves, the elves who were created suddenly appeared, and they awoke by the shores of Cuiviénen, and they saw the stars, because there was no sun or moon up in the sky at this point in the mythology, only eternal stars from Varda.
So did you reread the books after you got this?
I mean, I had to understand the migrations of these people that happened over hundreds and thousands of years, and when Tolkien describes them migrating and going from Cuiviénen all the way over to Valinor, you can't grasp the details, that some stop and linger in Beleriand, and some actually go all the way there, but she draws on those maps to explain their migrations. It is so wonderful to have that as a what I would call it a student aid, like a Cliff's Notes book helps a student study and get all the details for whatever they're. The same thing with the Atlas of Middle-earth. You cannot really absorb the juicy details of the Silmarillion and cognitively get it through your thick skull without this kind of visual representations. It's fantastic.
It's funny you say that. I'm reading the Silmarillion for the first time right now.
Yes, are you now?
I am.
Yeah.
I haven't really used the map yet.
It's quite chewy. It's quite a chewy book to read the first time, isn't it?
I like it. I really like it. It's interesting. It's fascinating. I like it. I'm on the second chapter.
Oh, wow. So you just finished the Ainulendale.
Probably.
The music of the Ainur.
Yes.
Yes. Well, that's fascinating to me, strictly because it's a creation mythology built around music and harmonies as a concept of creating the world. It's brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
no argument there.
So how long do you think it will take you to get through the Silmarillion?
I read slow and I have school.
Yeah, it took me 11 months.
Really?
Yeah.
It took me 3.5 months, but that's because I would stop, and if there was a paragraph of detail with names that I didn't understand, I'd reread it, and then I'd reread that paragraph again until I had some better idea of what the heck was going on.
Yeah, I've done that a few times.
I mean, when he starts rambling about genealogies of this person begat this, and
that's my favorite part.
Methuselah begat,
that's all the
Bathsheba.
That's important.
Bathsheba begat Nefertiri. And then it just goes on and on and on. And that is, you think that's the best part?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the most difficult part.
I don't know. I like it. So what brings you to the show today?
You mentioned the book, and I came calling because I too have the book.
And you have actually a better cover than this one, but this one is has been well worn and well used and researched.
Very well worn.
True, but mine has Edoras on the front. I think it looks like Edoras.
Yeah, it is Edoras. Edoras on
yeah,
top of the hill. In New Zealand, that little hill is called Mount Sunday. It's a really fantastic location. I've been there on that very spot. Windswept, cold, and miserable right there. I can't believe they filmed it. And you watch the movies, and you realize it really is windswept and cold. You can tell by the way they were all shivering standing there.
Well, we really appreciate you showing us on Skype, and I held your camera up to our camera so everybody could see your copy.
Yeah, it's a lovely Alan Lee drawing on the front.
Yeah, it's very nice.
Another one of my favorite things about this atlas is the cross section of Moria, and you can actually. We're going to say goodbye to Spirited Book right now. Thank you again, sir. Always lovely to have you on the show.
All right, see you around.
All
yes,
right, thanks.
Yes, indeed. If you want to figure out where Gandalf went with the Balrog when they fell underneath the broken bridge of Khazad-dûm, there's a cross-section of the whole world that the dwarves created. There's even cross-sections of places in Minas Tirith, and there's beautiful details in this book. Take a look at this.
But
see this, Justin?
I've got this beautiful copy of Unfinished Tales, and there's a map right there on the inside cover of Unfinished Tales. How is this map different than anything in your book?
Well, that's just every standard edition of a Lord of the Rings or a Hobbit book or Unfinished Tales has a general Middle-earth map, but these details that Karen has in her book,
and she's not alive anymore.
I'm afraid not.
We can't interview her.
No, I was one of the very last people in the online press to interview her before she died unexpectedly.
Was she in the documentary Ringers?
No, I was so unhappy that she left this earthly plane before we were even making Ringers. And I'm really sad about that, but I'm proud of my interview with her. It was fascinating to talk to her about her just being a fangirl and her great interest in cartography. But you have to stop and worry, maybe not worry, but feel a little sympathy for those Tolkien readers who struggle to read Lord of the Rings and its thick details and the Silmarillion without having a reference book like this handy. I can't imagine. It must be really, really, really much, much harder. Look, there it is, the entire world of Arda. Even when you read the Silmarillion and you realize, my God, they've got a floating island, an island that, moves from place to place across the seas. And she draws that out to explain it to you, where it is and where it would go. And what's even better, you look in the Silmarillion and you see a different map. You see a map of Beleriand, and you think, oh, geez, this doesn't look like Middle-earth. I'm not familiar with this. I'm not familiar with this at all. She has maps that combine both of them, so you can see Beleriand before it was destroyed and sunk under the sea, and you know the exact point where it connected to the mountains called the Ered Luin, which is Elvish for the Blue Mountains.
Okay, so my question is, did Peter Jackson get it right? If it shows where all the armies came in for the Battle of the Five Armies, did Peter Jackson get it right?
Oh yeah. The scene where the Rohirrim arrive on the Battle of the Pelennor Fields,
No.
They stand there.
Battle of Five Armies.
The Battle of the Five Armies? Well, I was going to say in Lord of the Rings they definitely got it right. But no, Battle of the Five Armies was edited in such a chop-socky kind of way, at least the theatrical version. There's all this stuff with rams and then they had a sequence on the frozen river that they cut out, which we assume is going to be put back into the extended edition. No, it's not quite the same. Besides, in the book,
what's the name of the field that they battle on in the Battle of Five Armies?
Oh, it's just the area right in between the ruins of Dale. It's called the Desolation of Smaug. That's the physical space of land. That's all it's called. And as you can imagine,
Now, I'm
Peter
curious.
took great liberties with the Battle of the Five Armies. You know, the great
76.
werewolves.
Morannon?
Huh? The Morannon?
Is that what it is?
No, the Morannon is the Black Gate. The
Oh,
Morannon is the Black
that
Gate
has nothing to
right
do-
at the edge of Mordor itself,
76.
where the Towers of the Teeth are found.
Erebor, the Lonely Mountain, Thranduil's Caverns.
Yes, Thranduil's Caverns.
Wilderland, Dorwinion,
Yeah, Dorwinion.
Iron Hills.
Yeah, where they grow grapes and have wonderful wine
Right,
in
so,
Dorwinion.
So does this mean it will show me where the armies came in?
Uh-huh, I'll show you that. I'll show you that in just the right spot. Hold on just one second.
Yeah, I was
But no.
just
Peter Jackson took too many liberties. Look, there's Beorn's house in his open gardens, and there's the diagrams of
I
Beorn's
think
house.
you can see pictures of that.
There's the upper halls and lower halls of Thranduil's realm
I
underground.
think I've seen these maps in the behind-the-scenes features of Desolation of Smaug. I think you
Here it
can
is.
see it on the. So
the ruins of Dale, and here it is. Here are the maps.
So this
This shows the troop movement. This is the map I'm showing him now. You guys might be able to find a PDF of it online that shows the movements of the troops according to what Tolkien wrote, not according to what Peter filmed. It's a whole different world in Peter's version. There were no werewolves of the north digging great holes to bring, underground access for Azog, who
All right,
didn't even exist
I can't
in the
do
book.
these glasses anymore. I
Thank
really
you. I
need
guess
to.
maybe I should. Yeah, let's get rid of our sunglasses too. But it's really a lovely.
All right, so these are
Ooh,
I only see
bright-
I only
brightness.
see 4 armies. Well, I guess Thorin is the 5th army, huh? Goblins and wolves is one. Elves, dwarves, and men is another.
They're combined. No,
He goes-
elves and dwarves were separate, certainly.
Oh, so these are the 5 armies: goblins, wolves, elves, dwarves, and men.
Yeah, that's right. In the book, Professor Tolkien basically considered the wargs as a separate, unified nation
Goblins
that were
and-
helping out the goblins. So you had goblins, wargs, men, elves, and dwarves. The Eagles didn't even constitute a 5th army.
Dane.
But in the animated version that Rankin Bass did in the 70s, they mention the Eagles as the 5th army, and that's when Bilbo sees them arrive and he says, 5 armies now? Oh, enough is enough. And he puts his ring on and disappears.
Thorin
and he gets
Falls,
knocked out.
I thought this was supposed to be on an ice sheet. Is this an elevated Thorin Falls?
Ravenhill. Is Ravenhill marked?
Ravenhill is not marked.
Ravenhill is probably marked. There it is. Right there. It's on the southwestern spur
So
of the Lonely
it-
Mountain.
it's
Ravenhill
supposed to
would be
be
there.
here.
That is, it's just not marked on that map because she was writing other details. But isn't this interesting? Imagine someone
interesting.
reading the book, any one of them, Hobbit, Lord of the Rings, or Silmarillion, any of them. Imagine reading them without this, and Professor Tolkien is describing all these details, and the troops go here, and the heroes come back around here, and they're routed and run away this way to the river.
According to this map, the
So
5
detailed.
armies are elves, dwarves, and men, goblins, and wargs.
Yes, that's right. Goblins and wargs as 2 distinct
Elves,
armies.
dwarves, men, goblins, wargs.
Uh-huh.
So that
Good
would
guys and
mean
bad guys.
that in the movies, Azog would be the head of the goblins, and
Mhm.
the wolves.
Quite technically, according to the book and according to this book world, the book canon, Beorn and the Eagles were interlopers on the Battle of the Five Armies.
Beorn.
In essence.
And what?
Beorn and the Eagles were
Yeah, they're-
interlopers
they're-
on the Battle of the Five Armies.
They're the
were-
nuclear option.
They are the nuclear
You
option.
know, that would have
yes.
been cool if Azog was head of the goblin armies and he sent Bolg to like gather the wargs and the wolves. I mean, that would have been cool, like to show that they were harshly breeding the wargs in wherever. Like, remember when he went to that one place and Legolas chased him and then ran back?
Yeah.
Like, it would have been cool if that was like this dirty old like place. It would have been better.
Well, the geography that Peter Jackson represents visually looks to be correct because immediately south of the Great Gate of Erebor, out of which issues the river, okay? There are the ruins of Dale, literally right outside the door. And there's a southwestern and a southeastern spur of the mountains, as Tolkien describes in The Hobbit.
Yeah.
And Peter Jackson visualizes all of that, except he starts, you know, digging things like digging wormholes.
I
Not
didn't
Star
mind
Trek
that.
style, but you know, the worms come out of here, and all this other stuff happens, and it then becomes a different thing.
Ukalin in the chat room does say that
Oh, hello,
Azog
Ukalin.
and Bulg lead 2 different orc armies. Maybe they do. It wasn't completely clear. Maybe I need to be beaten over the head. In the movie.
My opinion is going to say wait until we see the extended version. Then we might actually get some other shots that visually explain where people are going from place to place. But in Return of the King, when we get these wonderful, wonderful high up shots from the Citadel, the top level, the Citadel, at the very tippy top of Minas Tirith, where John Noble, as Denethor, runs out there and he sees Gothmog has assembled his armies. You get a pretty good lay of the land, and Weta is so great at visually showing us where troops are and where things are going. From the north, the sudden arrival at the break of dawn, when the cock crows in the morning, the arrival of Theoden and Eomer and the men of the Westfold there to help defend Minas Tirith. That was much more accurate in its great battle than, even look for the Helm's Deep stuff. Look through here for the Battle of Helm's Deep. You'll love that. It's really, really good.
I'm
it's in there too.
about the Battle 5 armies at this point, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, there's only one map of that.
Buckleberry Ferry.
There's Buckleberry Ferry.
Barrow Downs.
Yeah,
Tom
the Barrow
Bob,
Downs. You want to see the part where Tom Bombadil rescues the hobbits from the
Standing
Barrow
Stone.
Wights? Oh, so cool. All that stuff is in there. I'm telling you guys, we're looking at October, November, December. You know what that means? Christmas presents. It's time to think of, what are you going to get?
Meduseld.
What are you going to get for a Tolkien fan? You know you've got to buy just the perfect gift for a Ringer fan. This is it. Karen Wynne Fonstad's Atlas of Middle-earth is, without a doubt, one of the most surefire, ideal, perfect gifts for... And I'm not just trying to sell the book and make her any money, because, she's left us. It doesn't matter. I'm telling you, her scholarship and her ability to do cutaways of citadels and towers and looking at the halfway slices of mountains. I didn't understand.
Cool.
Yeah, look at how the path that the hobbits took up Mount Doom, Frodo and Sam. Even the cutaway, there's a slice in half cutaway of Mount Doom, and you can see the lava shafts coming up, and a real cartographer knows what the caldera of a volcano is supposed to look like. They know about volcanism. It is part of what they study. Volcanism changes the shape of land all around all the time. That's why cartographers have to redraw maps of Hawaii and other places that have active volcanism. So it's fascinating to me. Look at all this. Yeah, whoosh. Isn't that great? Mm-hmm. Karen Fonstad's level of detail to look at all the things that Tolkien beautifully describes is of great, great value to any Ringer fan. I cannot oversell this book. I can't oversell it. I'm just saying.
This is pretty
See?
fascinating.
You haven't... See, now I've got Justin taking a much, much closer look, and he thinks I'm overselling it, but I'm not.
No.
Even at the very back of the book where she starts talking about climate and...
I want posters of this stuff.
Imagine a map where you can understand the northern climate and the coastal climate, and a simple explanation of what their annual precipitation would be like, and it matches with Tolkien's world, because Professor Tolkien was very, very, very diligent and very careful about the phases of the moon and the things that happened. So specific was he.
She owns the copyright to this.
He was so specific, Professor Tolkien tripped himself up and made a little bit of a difficult issue. In The Hobbit, Thorin and company get all the way from Bag End to Rivendell in a certain matter of days. With Frodo and Sam and Strider, they get across the exact same stretch of land from the edges of the Shire, from Bree all the way to Rivendell, but they get there in a very different length of time. So she had to write several paragraphs of explanation saying, I'm not sure how this worked, because according to what the professor wrote, Thorin and company got all that distance there in X amount of time, But Sam, Merry, Pippin, Frodo, and Strider got there in Y amount of time. And she couldn't reconcile X and Y. And when she draws out a map, she says, this must be the only explanation. They must have gone very, very, very short distances and camped over and over and over again, night after night, to explain the length of time. But that only means one thing. That just means basically that Professor Tolkien did not retcon that stuff. Excuse me, that stuff to reiterate the travels of Thorin and company.
Haradrim?
Yeah.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, you're looking for where the Harad is? The Haradwaith?
Well, no, someone in the
there.
chat room's asking for Haradrim and the Sothrons.
Yeah, you can. There's a map of the areas of South Gondor and all the realms of the Harad. Way, way, way to the south.
Sothrons?
No, look up Harad.
Harad.
I can show you where it is. I know this book inside and out. He's taking the hard way, looking at the index, which is nice. It's nice to have a complete
Harad.
Index of place names.
Harad Road?
The Harad Road that travels to the south. Yeah.
89 and 92.
Yeah. Take a look. There are sections in the atlas that are divided by First Age
Harad
stuff,
Road.
and then where you get Valinor and Numenor, and then all the stuff in Beleriand. You get First Age stuff, and then you get Second Age stuff, and then you have the changing of the world, where Beleriand was all sunk under the sea, and the destruction of all those
176.
lands. And then you have Numenor and the destruction of Numenor, and after that, the flat Earth becomes a round Earth, and she offers regional maps that are current with the Third Age, because that's where we spend most of our time. When we're reading Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, we are basically spending most of our chronology time in the Third Age, and she has a lot of regional maps for the Third Age. They're the ones we're most familiar with. What you got there?
That was one of the Harad pages.
Yeah, this is the chain of the White Mountains, separating Rohan to the north and Gondor, all the lands of Gondor to the south.
That's what we're looking at.
Yep.
Rohan to the north, Gondor to the south.
Mm-hmm.
Gondor's got all that shipping and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Rohan's agrarian.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Rohan's very agrarian.
On Amazon, you can see inside this book. This is a fantastic book, and I wouldn't mind making
You can borrow it if you'd like.
T-shirts of some of these maps.
Do you know
I
what?
mean, because this is just a two-color brown.
It's
and
a
black,
two-color brown.
just like this.
Just like that.
This T-shirt.
Just like that. That's I wanted to mention this to you when you came up with this color design for this silk screen.
Yeah.
I wanted to say, and I should have said, this reminds me of the map of Middle Earth, and I thought you
This is
deliberately
really
did that.
cool.
You mean you didn't do that deliberately?
No,
to match her?
I'm just lucky like that. This is look a two-page spread.
Two-page fold out of the Misty Mountains going north to south. And what's at the top? Gundabad, Mount Gundabad, which was the capital city and stronghold of the goblins of the northern Misty Mountains.
That's where Legolas and the elf girl go, right?
Her name's Tauriel, or so I'm told. Isn't that? And
Where?
way down at the bottom.
Where, Mount Gun. So
Yeah,
so
Gundabad right there at the top.
So they go there, but they started.
Well, they started way off the map at Erebor and went there.
Oh, they went
from the Lonely Mountain back.
They went west to Gundabad along the mountains.
Look at the
and
scale of
then-
miles.
And then they turned back.
Yeah, nobody knows how they got 300 miles there and back really, really, really quickly to Gundabad and then right back to the Lonely Mountain. Complete. There's only.
I almost feel like that scene, Tauriel and Legolas going to Gundabad, is the Hobbit equivalent of the Hobbits at Osgiliath. They're not supposed to be there. They're not supposed to be anywhere near there. It makes no sense to have them there.
In terms of geography, I think the two biggest sloppy moments, one in The Lord of the Rings, when Aragorn, Legolas, and Gimli arrive at Erech after they have emerged from the paths of the dead. And when they do emerge from the paths of the dead, they are many, 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 many leagues away from the Anduin River. However, in the movie, Peter Jackson decided to abbreviate all that extra traveling, and as soon as Aragorn and Legolas appear out of the paths of the dead, they're already on the river shoreline, looking at the ships with the black sails, the corsairs coming from the south. But take a look at this, and you're going to realize what a mistake that was. And you'll see, there it is. There it is. Look at this.
Yeah, there are maps to the Undying Lands.
This is it. Look at this. This is where Aragorn arrives when he comes out of the Paths of the Dead. From there to there. From Dunharrow, under the mountains, to Erech. And in the movie, Peter has him coming out somewhere...
Minas Tirith is over here?
Somewhere right around here, right next to the river. Where they're literally right next to Minas Tirith and next to the river. But from this point, they had many, 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 many leagues. About 150, 175 additional miles of travel. So that's one geography mess up that Peter did. Otherwise, the geography of Lord of the Rings is pretty sound. It's fairly sound. The second most glaring error, speaking in terms of only geography, is the episode with Tauriel and Legolas go to Gundabad and went back in only a day. Maybe it's just a day or two. We don't know. But that's about 350 miles from the Lonely Mountain all the way to Gundabad and then back. So that's the other geography bit that does not click. And that's in The Hobbit. So The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings have something in common. In the third film, they have a bit of sloppy geography. Otherwise, it's pretty damn good. The adaptation, as far as
Undying
taking
Lands
account
are
of,
over here, right?
hey, you're doing a road movie, he's got all of his characters traveling great, great distances. And you know what?
Where's the Undying Lands?
Over here. Valinor. The plains of Aemon. But one of the, let me read this to you. Let me pull this back from the camera. I'm going to read one short mini paragraph.
Gandalf and Radagast going to the tombs? Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Oh yeah, well all right. Well yeah, Gandalf.
God, there's so much cool stuff in The Hobbit.
That's another thing where the geography gets a little bit weird, where Radagast ends up going this side of the Misty Mountains, then all the way back, and that bunny sled must be fast, maybe faster than light. Here's what Karen Wynne Fonstad, the author and illustrator and cartographer of the Atlas of Middle-earth, this is what she says about Valinor, which we learn all about in reading the Silmarillion. If you haven't gotten there yet, newbies, I'm telling you, you better get there. She says, although Aman, which is the continent to the far, far west, that's why Annie Lennox is singing Into the West, because that's where they go, Aman. Although Aman lay within the circles of the world during the First and Second Age, it cannot be viewed as simply being another land area. It held mountains and coasts and lakes and hills and plains and forests, and it was bordered by the same seas that washed against the shores of Middle-earth. Yet it was an ethereal land, a land of the secondary world. And I say capital S, secondary, capital W, world. And in Professor Tolkien's terminology, the secondary world means a spiritual place beyond the veil of the physical, mortal world where we live. And that was one of her greatest challenges, was trying to combine elements of the ethereal, secondary world and make them forcibly fit into a globe where people could actually go from place to place. It was really quite a trick, a formidable feat. And my hat is off to you still. My hat's off to you, Karen Fonstad. And I miss you. I wish you were still here, because she would be such a great guest to have.
I would have loved to
show.
visit her on the road to DragonCon.
Oh yeah, I'm telling you. Oh look, this is pretty cool. The paths, the journey of Frodo and Sam. She separates out in a whole separate chapter where Gandalf and Pippin go on their trek when they leave Rohan. A separate mini chapter about Frodo, Sam, and Gollum going across. Look, from the breaking of the Fellowship right on up to March 24th, where Frodo and the Ring met their ultimate fate at Mount Doom. This is a map where you can actually see the paths. And now here's the mind-bending thing. This is one of the last maps that I'm going to show you. One of the last things that you guys are going to see tonight. Look at this. This is where she shows how they leave on the ships from the Grey Havens and leave the curving sphere of the actual world, Arda, and leave and take what Professor Tolkien called the straight way, all the way to the secondary world, where they would leave this earth and go to this other plane of existence, back to Valinor. And she illustrates it the only way she can, by drawing a curved earth, and then a separation of the cosmos, and this line going to another place. What else can you do when Professor Tolkien is giving us a blending of physical world and secondary world in the same place? It's really cool. Maybe you can...
That's fascinating.
It's pretty fascinating, isn't it cool? So if you want to know where the ships would go from the Grey Havens...
You know what I would love?
Well, they went somewhere else, to another plane of existence. And this was her way of illustrating that
a
in the map.
special edition, extended edition, Blu-ray
Isn't that
of
cool?
The Lord of the Rings
Yep.
with... If I could turn on, instead of a new commentary track, audio, if I could have like a little overlay in the corner of the screen while watching The Lord of the Rings.
That shows the continuous map.
That shows the continuous
That's
map.
the video game interface in you wanting to
That would
be
be-
there. You would
that
love
would be
that.
wonderful.
A mini map in the corner that's an inset. See, the video gamer in all of us wants to have that.
I wonder
That would
if
be
Lord of
cool.
the Rings
I agree with
Online uses these maps to make.
Look
all
at what
its
he
different
created.
worlds.
Our friend
Emil
Johansson.
at
Emil Johansson.
LOTR project.
You guys go to
Did he
lotrproject.com.
Did he use these maps or did he?
Yes, he got his details of character movements and path movements from her.
Wow.
For example, look at this. Path, check the box for Gandalf.
It's all.
Oh wait, there's a path for Gandalf the Grey. There's a separate path
It's
for
all
Gandalf
interactive.
the White. Oh yeah, it's all interactive. And you can click,
Thorin and company.
you can click and you can zoom in and you can see the path. But when he did Gandalf the White, he used the same lines that she used to show the path of Gandalf's movement. After he was resurrected on top of Mount Zarak-Zagil and was taken down to Lothlorien to be healed by Lady Galadriel.
That's amazing.
It really is cool. So today, I think modern readers might be less interested in the pen and paper version of cartography because we have the interactive online high definition map that Emil did for us.
So-
and he's wonderful. But I'm telling you, nothing beats the scholarly approach. Nothing beats this. Even though Emil's map is a work of great genius, he still
Well,
would not have been able to create
If
it.
you're like me and hate books and hate the smell of paper and the texture of it, I will play with Lord of the Rings Project. That
LOTR
map
project?
looks interactive. It's quick. It's amazing. I can
Yep.
see it anywhere. I don't have to carry around this heavy book.
It's
but
not a heavy book. This is a very
it-
lightweight trade paperback. It's a
If
nice...
you're into killing trees, go for it.
Well, they're. Oh, look at this. Look at. Here's the order of the dwarves fighting in the clearing when the spiders come and attack them.
oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
So that's how
That-
they
he-
get it.
Emil doesn't have this.
Yet.
In his.
Yet.
He doesn't have all these details. He has the basics down and all the character paths.
Yeah.
And he has a timeline of
It-
important historical events.
It looks like Peter Jackson did well on Thranduil's
Uh-huh.
Kingdom.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah.
It's super cool. Love this stuff. And, I gotta say, I would like to have had Gil here so I could show him some of this. Because he's a great guest star. We've had Gil talk with us before on the show. The Mutant season, definitely worth catching online.
You should guest on his show.
I want to do that.
All about
He's
this.
invited me to come on the Mutant season.
That'd be great.
I'll do that sometime very, very soon.
Well,
so what do you think?
This is an amazing discussion. So get this on Amazon or anywhere. I wonder if it's an ebook. I wonder if I can get it on iBooks or something like that. If you don't want to spend any money,
Yes, you can. Look at this.
you can go to lotrproject.com.
The Atlas of Middle Earth.
And there's a whole interactive map version where you can just click different checkboxes for characters.
Mm-hmm.
This is
Yep, there are images.
this is a pretty cool programming note. Next
Pretty
week
cool.
is New York Comic Con. The One Ring will be there in full force. We're having I think we're doing a panel discussion on what's next for Tolkien fandom. We're gonna have a booth there with all these wonderful T-shirts that we debuted at Dragon Con and some other exclusive goodies, hoodies,
Yes.
and lanyards, and some wonderful things.
Very good.
So
very good stuff.
We'll be at theonering.net. We'll be at New York Comic Con next week, and we're having
Yes.
a party next Thursday. I think it is Thursday night, 21 and over, because hobbits like to drink.
Excuse me.
See, so
Yes.
Ringers Take Manhattan. It's on Eventbrite now. You can go to our Facebook or Twitter and get your tickets there. We've rented out a pub, and it's going to. And Weta is sponsoring the party, so we're gonna have some really great giveaways don't. Weta's giveaways are always wonderful.
They're fantastic.
And
They're
I think
fantastic.
I might be wrong, but I think this is the first year that Weta will be at New York Comic Con. So I'm
that's cool.
really excited. They're really excited. So help Weta feel at home in the Big Apple. Make every effort. If you don't have tickets, because they're quite pricey, if you don't have tickets to the convention itself, do make an effort to go to Ringers Take Manhattan Party on Thursday night, next Thursday, not this week, next week. It's going to be super fun. I can't wait. And then we're looking at possibly doing something at Kamikaze.
Ooh, yes. Kamikaze is great fun.
Halloween weekend. So that could be amazing. Someone in the chat room says, Cliff, you should do a commentary on the Hobbit trilogy, using the same format that Kevin Smith does, like Fat Man on Batman. You know, we did attempt an audio commentary with Cliff and with a couple other folks at theonering.net, and it just wasn't interesting enough to listen again. Because we made an attempt. We recorded it. We did the whole thing. We set it up. You guys watched the movie and commented.
It didn't quite work.
And it just, there's so many differences to the books and to the movies. And
there are so many contradictory points in between the books and the movies, but that's what we like to parse them apart. We like to do that. This is what we love to do.
Yeah. So,
but you could fill extra hours with that.
It's tough. Look, a couple weeks ago, I live tweeted the Lord of the Rings trilogy when we showed it here in LA. I live tweeted, and then I also did that last year when I think TNT,
that was very popular,
had the Lord of the Rings trilogy on TNT, and I live tweeted there. And I tell you, it's tough. Commentary, just live tweeting where you're not even talking, is tough. When you start talking and doing an audio commentary, I mean, you have when we're doing this show, you know, you before you start saying something, you usually have a goal you want to get to. You're telling a little story. It might be 10 seconds, it might be 2 minutes, but you got to get there. But when you're doing a commentary on a movie,
yes,
there's no time to tell that story,
and
because
no pausing.
As soon as you start talking about the brilliance of Andy Serkis doing his Gollum when he's talking to himself, by the time you complete your thought, you're 2 scenes ahead.
Yeah, and you miss a point you wanted to mention.
Yeah, so it's. I commend the actors and the filmmakers for the skill that they brought to the Lord of the Rings trilogy. All those wonderful behind-the-scenes commentary tracks on the DVDs and Blu-rays. It's tough to get through that and actually say something of note, because it's really tough from our fan perspective, being book lovers first, to say, all right, that's different from the book and this is why. Because by the time you finish your thought, you've missed like 6 other scenes.
If we ever do a commentary like that again, we should do something like Cinema Sins that does everything wrong with X, Y, or Z
in a YouTube video.
But we should, they do that. We should do ours and have a little ticker of book contradiction and have it go ding every time.
Different from the
that
book.
way we can just press a button and we can just do it, and
That's a good idea.
We can leave that on the wayside and let the ticker keep running on the screen, and we can continue to talk about the anecdotes we're trying to share about something specific.
The funny thing that we saw at the Lord of the Rings trilogy screening in a theater a few weeks ago is that some of the younger and older fans, they were quoting every line in the movie, and it was annoying the people around them. Because everybody we all know all the words. So
yes,
we're just, they were in the theater quoting it, laughing before the joke delivers, and other people in the thing, it's like, I love the movie, but that was not that much. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't a great live tweeting thing you did. The live tweeting was really enjoyed by a lot of people. It was really appreciated. I want you to know that.
It's super fun. Majestic. Every time Thorin does something of note, we say it's majestic. That's a good rule, Aravandi. So, this has been a wonderful conversation. Thank you, Gil. The Mutant season is on Nerdist. Go check it out, nerdist.com or iTunes. Just search for The Mutant Season. follow him on Twitter, Mutant Season. You've seen the kid himself. Now go check out any one of his 160 episodes. He's had amazing conversations with really smart people. JPL scientists, rocket scientists that ran the Mars orbiter, actors, chefs, writers, comic book legends. The kid is not just going places, he's already places.
Yes indeed. The question that came in on the hotline was, did I ever have the author of the Atlas of Middle-earth on our live show? And the answer is no. I interviewed her online. I interviewed her
back in 2002 or 3.
Yeah, I interviewed her back in 2002, I think.
12 years ago.
Yeah, but that was before we were doing the live streaming show. And
before you could live stream, before YouTube.
Yeah.
Before we even did videos.
Yeah. Remember Icebox? When their online online short form animations, and there was Yahoo Radio way before there was iTunes Radio and Spotify or Pandora. Way before all that, there was a version called Yahoo Radio. That was an interesting format. Anyways,
radio on the internet, and you'll only get that joke if you watch Silicon Valley, which stars
that's good.
Kumail Nanjiani, who's also the co-host of The Meltdown with Jonah and Kumail, which is on Comedy Central, which is where we do our show every week, right here, the center of all things geek. Anybody in the chat room, there's a bunch of people in the chat room that have been at Meltdown. They can vouch for how cool this place is.
Yes.
And they just got a bunch of collectibles from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. In fact, someone tweeted a picture that they picked up the Gollum statue.
Yeah.
Like, it came in, and like 72 hours later, someone came in and bought it. So people are starting to bring in Lord of the Rings collectibles. If you've got something to sell, Lord of the Rings, bring it here.
Really?
They'll pay cash for it or give you store credit, but they'll give you cash for it. And then there's other toys. There's some 10-inch Elrons and Arwens downstairs.
Oh, cool. I got
some of those are really hard to find.
Those are cool. I wonder if I can find one of those original Treebeard talking action figures that had light up eyes and you press the button and made him talk. I need to replace my lost Treebeard toy. That would be so cool.
That'd be super cool. So,
and
everything from the center of geekdom, Meltdown Comics, home of Nerdist Podcast, which is someone's recording on the other side of the wall. I think it's Pete Holmes, who's getting an HBO show now.
Oh, cool.
So we'll catch you next week. We're here every week, 5 p.m. Pacific, live at theonering.net/live.
Right, yeah. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much more to talk about as we move into the fourth quarter of the year. And anybody else in Los Angeles who wants to go with me to the theatrical revival of Disney's The Black Cauldron. It's coming back to the El Capitan Theater on October 15th. We're all going to get a big group of people together. They're going to have a 1-hour early reception before the screening on the 15th with beer and wine and a beautiful display and exhibit that Disney's reviving their long-buried, dark fantasy attempt. The only time that Don Bluth and Tim Burton worked together on an animated feature, and they both tailed off and went in different directions. The Black Cauldron is a fascinating piece of animation. It is the darkest and creepiest thing Disney's ever done, and it's on the big silver screen once again after being buried.
When are they showing that?
October 15th through October 18th on the big silver screen at the El Capitan Theater.
Well,
right there.
Isn't that the week that the Hobbit trilogy is in theaters?
That's right, but the Hobbit trilogy is on different nights.
They're doing different movies on different nights.
That's right. The Hobbit trilogy is not being presented as a 3-movie marathon on one night. That's on different days, different nights.
I kind of want to see all 3 on the big screen. I need to get my tickets.
I'm sure they would work better that way. But anyways, if anybody wants to come and join me, I'll be at the El Capitan on October 15th.
And we'll also have
for the Black Cauldron.
Staffers at the Irvine Spectrum Theater in Irvine, California, Orange County folk, for the Battle of 5 Armies Extended Edition. We might have some
that's going to be so cool.
Fun trivia and things like that. So
I bet you we will.
October 13th. Check us out. See us next week in New York City. Ringers Take Manhattan. Get your friends together. It's 21 and over pub party. You won't want to miss it. Weta Workshop will be there, and we'll see you next week.
You guys enjoy yourselves. Follow him on Twitter at Justin's Big Idea.
You don't have to.
And follow me at QuickBeam2000. And of course you don't have to, but it's much more fun if you do. Bye, everybody. Signing off.
Well, that isn't really dark.
So what were people saying in the chat room? Because I couldn't see anything.